Good morning, Omicrons. Fancy your, or how do you like your new change in description? I've decided to call you Omicrons now because I'm getting a bit fed up with COVIDians. I mean, I think we kind of know all there is to know about COVID in its various forms now. I'm just positioning you folks to find it easier to see me. You're actually going inside a cupboard and being stood on top of the dish. So forgive all this banging around for a minute and don't fall off, because if you do, you might smash. Well, Ommies, hang on, I might even just bring you down a bit. Let's just bring you down a little bit. My Ommies and Omicrons. There you go, Omicrons. Try and get more of the mugshot in place. Right, so there is your new designation, Omicrons. Thank you, Ommies, for your response to my video on the knighting of war criminal Tony Blair. Yeah, who would be, and I've got to just repeat it one more time because I like singing it, sitting in the dark at the Hague. That's where he should be. I mean, we all know that, yeah? Veterans of the Iraq War and whatever will be rightly sending their medals back. What a disgusting human being. What an absolutely disgusting human being. And the fact that the Queen in particular chooses to give him some honour. What does that say about the honour system? What does that say about our country? Mass murdering war criminal being honoured. A bit like, honouring Heinrich Himmler for his services to race relations. Yep. Anyway, all that much aside, what I want to talk about today is, have you ever noticed how your human rights are disappearing under the Tories? They're just kind of, well, maybe most of you don't really pay any attention anyway, yeah? Maybe you don't, I mean, maybe in some cases, maybe it's you're just too busy working and living and existing and trying to pay the bills. Perhaps you don't really notice that your rights are going, yeah? Perhaps, like most people in this country have been trained to think, well, if I don't do anything wrong, I've got nothing to fear, have I? I've got nothing to fear. Here I am standing in my house making this video. I'm not doing anything illegal. I've got nothing to fear. Yeah? So, of course I've got human rights. Well, I wouldn't be so sure of that under the Tories, quite honestly. When I was a kid, we used to have teachers that were, in a sense, in those days, remarkably funny. They had a sense of humour that was wicked, yeah? A bit like the sort of thing you might see in the In-Betweeners, the guy who is always going on about will, yeah? Well, our teachers, we had discussions and we talked about things like human rights and politics and thinking for yourself and things like that. Bearing in mind, I was born at the end of the 50s and educated in the 60s, which wasn't that far away from the end of World War II, a time also when the war in Vietnam was going on and stuff like that. So we actually did have conversations about these things. We spoke about them. And one of our teachers always used to joke, and it was a joke, but it kind of had some kind of little barb behind it as well. He used to say, now, I don't know if he was military or what, but we'll pretend that he was. I went to a couple of service schools. He'd say, now, in order to be human, Jones, in order to have human rights, Jones, I meant to say, in order to have human rights, Jones, first, you have to be human. Now, are you human, Jones? Can you prove it? The Tories, in essence, think not so much that in order to have human rights, you have to be human. I don't think even they think that. But what I do believe is that to have some kind of right to be looked after, to be cared for, to be served, if you like, yeah, you have to be. It's not so much it's not a matter of whether you're just human or not, whether you're just a person. It's how much you are worth. Money. How much are you worth? What do you contribute? Now, if you're old and worked out and you're getting on whatever the state pension is, you don't deserve any rights, really, do you? Do you really deserve any rights? What are you contributing? What are you giving? Yeah? What are you giving? Whose company are you making rich? What massive profits are you generating? How are you doing that? You're old, you're retired, you're weak. In many cases, your health is failing. Does it matter? Should you even be treated as a human being? Yeah? Should you even be treated as a human being? Do you even deserve human dignity? Yeah. Another group of people I think that Tories see as less than human, more like consumable resources, yeah, are the unemployed and the low paid. Isn't it very, very interesting that people in the service sector, even food and whatever, in 2020, 2021, at some point after COVID-19, they were called essential workers. Essential workers. Essential. Yeah. And now they're just going back to unskilled workers, low-skilled workers. Not really worth anything. I mean, for crying out loud, anyone can flip burgers, can't they? An essential worker to an unskilled worker. Yeah? And look how the media portrays that. Yeah, they're doing it all the time, aren't they? As far as I can see, although a great victory was achieved that the Four were found not guilty, I totally celebrate that. It's absolutely brilliant, yeah? That was fantastic, yeah? But watch it. Your human rights are being taken away. And it's being done very, very gradually. Here's another one for you. If your employer dismissed you, constructive dismissal, or it was for some other reason, like, I don't know, they didn't like the shape of your face, they didn't like what race you were, they didn't like your beliefs, they didn't like anything about you that was just you. So effectively they dismissed you. It's often called constructive dismissal. Yeah. If you wanted to take that up with the authorities and take action against your employer on the grounds of unfair dismissal, the state, if you like, would pay for that. Yeah. But now that £1,200 has to come from you. You have to pay for it. Yeah. I expect the Tories will say, well, to save vexatious legislation, to save employers paying or the state paying for vexatious legislation. Yeah. That's how it's changing. Yeah. It's changing. Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously, for crying out loud, yeah, let's not say again, but, you know, Blair given a knighthood. Yeah. You know, now war criminals, as I said at the beginning, war criminals get knighthoods now. Yeah. It's changing. Yeah. It's changing. We're not building back better? Not at all. We're not building back better. We're building back corrupt, uncaring. You know, let's be quite clear about that. The Tories and their indifference, and to a very large extent Boris's inaction, are killing people. They're killing people. Let me get that quite straight. They're killing people. I'm currently chasing a referral to gastroenterology at the James Paget. Yep, because I'm having some problems with a gastric condition that I have. Yep, and I really would like to get that referral through, but I'll bet you £1 to a penny, because the NHS is so overworked and whatever, and they're so understaffed and they're so underfunded, I'll bet that's why that referral is taking even longer to come through. But it is an urgent referral, okay? I'm not blaming the NHS. Anyway, good news about the COP4. At least some people in this country have got some common sense, and they see what that demonstration and whatever was all about. Bye.